I'm just over 1 hour into making this thing, and I just want to go through what I'm doing because some of you like nerdy crap, right? So let's go nerdy. So when I'm building a game, I have a game state manager. It's handled by an enum, so I know what state I'm in. So whenever I set a new state, so let's look inside the menu. So I've made a menu state. Let's go inside it. Whenever I want to go to a new state, I just call a static screen fader that draws a black screen across the top of the game. And then when that thing hits full opacity, it checks to find out what the next game state is and flips to it. So in this case, it would flip to gameplay setup. And then each state itself, as it runs through this, so that I can't end up rendering before I've constructed, it will basically find gameplay setup, and on setup it will initialize the gameplay manager and set the state to just gameplay, and then it will just update gameplay over and over again. So if we look inside the gameplay folder, we're going to kind of see how I start to structure things out. So obviously I've written a lot of games now. Some of the stuff I do is a bit verbose, but I find that by writing stuff in a very clear structure, it really helps me and it makes it so much easier, which is why I can write games so much faster these days, I guess. So I know that I need a camera manager. Pretty much every game has a camera manager. So I have this 2D matrix thing that I wrote that basically every sprite that draws in world space draws relative to an origin. And there's kind of more complex stuff than that going on. So there's parallaxing, both vertical and horizontal, depending on the way the draw call is used. And there's other stuff too. The thing that it does that's pretty cool is it has like a kind of camera origin. So if you imagine that you're looking at a world and there's a floor here, I'm trying to look at the camera now, there's a floor here, and then above it there's a person. If you were to zoom in normally using a camera, as it got bigger it would go off the bottom of the screen like that, right? Well, you get a giant head like there, but what I can do is I can set the camera origin to a position on the screen. So if I set the camera, I call it a zoom origin, I don't know what you'd normally call it. So if I set it here where the bottom of the floor is, then as it zooms in, that floor would always stay at the same place and the character get bigger and go at the top. Because obviously when you zoom in, you want to zoom in on the horizon, you don't want it to go crazy. In 3D, you have a kind of look at target, so you could drag that down, but that would obviously tilt the camera. And we don't want to tilt the camera, so it's a kind of weird 2D thing. I don't know what the name is for it because I don't know, I just made it up. I'm sure somebody who knows more about this stuff would tell me what it's actually called. So yeah, I know that I need a camera, I need a dungeon, so I'm going to render a dungeon. If I go into there, it doesn't do anything yet, it's just got a dungeon floor, which is a dungeon piece. So I have lots of generic dungeon pieces and I'll eventually get filled in. Character manager, so I know I'm going to need people running around. A UI manager and an effects manager, so every frame I call update and then I draw at the end, right? So it's pretty boring. So I'm thinking about making this game in portrait. So you can see there's my menu screen, I'll click, it'll fade to black and then select the next state automatically. One of the things that I wrote a while ago allows me to try different resolutions, so I can sort of rotate the screen, try different screen reses. So right now I think it's going to be okay whatever resolution I pick, but obviously these guys are too small, but that could be a construction issue, I don't know. But oh yeah, wait, so if I go to my camera, oh there you go. So let's try zooming the camera in a bit more, see if it does anything. So that's my Z, which is like the scale of my camera. Yeah, so I think that's okay. I'm just trying to set some rough stuff up. So if I go to my character directory, you can see that I have a character manager. And I'm just hacking away at it for now, but I'll probably, maybe eventually have more than one enemy on screen. So I have a list of enemy characters. and I have one hero character. They're both the same thing underneath, but I want to keep them separate so I don't have to iterate through the list every time I want to find the hero. You know, is this guy a good guy or is this guy a bad guy? I could make the hero always the first entry in the list, but then it becomes less readable. Even though it means there's a little bit more code, it just makes it all a lot easier to manage. So when I make a character controller, I pass in what the render part is going to be like. So this is an enum for the character types. There they are. And that enum, in all our games, I would use an enum like this to pull all the data, like the health and the damage and what attacks they have. And in this case, I have a controller. So this controller will be able to do things like give damage to the character, or make the character move around and stuff like that. But it doesn't draw the character. If I tried to make it draw the character, it would just become more and more complicated. So instead I have a renderer inside it. If we go in there, the renderer takes in the character type, so that would be my knight or whatever. So all this thing is supposed to do is draw the knight on screen. And to give you an example of me using the enum to get the data, I get character info, I pass in the enum, I do a switch case through the character, right? So if it's this guy, then I construct his data, which has got his texture coordinates in it, how many frames he has for walking. I only do it once because I check if it's null. So if it's null, I make it and then I return it. So next time it comes in to call this, so imagine it's the first time. Okay, let's do it simply. Imagine it's the first time it would come in. This has not been made yet. Does this equal null? Let's make it. Then if this individual character, so this is an array of basically character render info data, if that one equals null, then we're going to go through and we're going to make it, and then here we return it. The next time it comes through, this will not be null, so it won't go in here. This will also not be null, so it'll just go straight down and return the thing. This is a lot quicker. Does end up having some big fat arrays in memory, but yeah, this is turning into a really nerdy thing, isn't it? Maybe I should stop being so nerdy. Why am I leaning in like this? I don't know. I look weird. Okay, anyway, nerdiness over. Maybe next time there'll be some game to play.